Welcome back. The count of the ballots from the 2021 general election indicate that the St. Lucia Labour Party holds the majority and will form the next government. Our team captured the reaction of members of the public on the results of the 2021 general election.
The electorate has spoken, and as the dust of the most interesting election season comes to an end, by all indication, the St. Lucia Labour Party will form the next government. Our team took to the streets to gauge the reaction of members of the public on the preliminary results of the 2021 general elections.
It's very shocking to me. It's very, very shocking because I would expect for it to be like at least a balance, you know, in the ballot, but it wasn't so. It was more like a landslide.
The most shocking one was the guy Joseph seat. I would never expected that. Never expected that. But they say the noise of the market doesn't determine the sale.
I want to change, and I want to change that's good for the island. I hope those right for everybody be satisfied with.
I'm very excited. I was expecting it, but not so severe beating like that. And with the guy Joseph, he feel he was man more than any. He was the best among the rest. Well, it wasn't that guy. It was the other guy. Okay? I'm so pleased. I feel at ease. I'm not expecting too much from Labour Party now, to be honest, because I know how the country is. But at least we wanted a change, and we get it. And like I said, I keep on saying the same thing. I'm repeating myself. I'm very excited about it. Amen.
I didn't vote, but what's come on? We have to expect it. So it's okay.
I have to accept it. You understand? I have to, because accepting we didn't win, but I have to accept it. I respect them for that.
It's not no fault. I predicted that it would be 6 and they winning another 6. But it happened to win how many? 13. So 1 extra. That was coming because the Prime Minister and his team, it was all about them and the rich people. They send everybody from the market away, push out all the poor people, so they had it coming for them. They thought they were doing good, but they did a very bad job.
And those were your responses. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Those were your views. Meanwhile, the Electoral Department spoke to Hot 7 TV News, giving a preliminary assessment of the efficiency of the processes for the 2021 general election.
The Electoral Department is saying that overall the conduct of the general election was executed well. While they do concede that there were difficulties, they note that the day went rather smoothly. This year's election was an election with a difference as it took place amidst a pandemic, which obviously altered the normal procedure. An official from the Electoral Department says that tackling an election during COVID-19 times was difficult, but there are lessons to learn.
Of course, this one was strange, but there is. And in any activity that you plan, there are always lessons to be learned. And COVID has taught us a lot. So I'm thinking in the future that we'll better be able to handle any pandemic when it comes to having an election. COVID was a big teacher, trust me.
The question of possible recounts occurring has arisen since some seats were won by relatively small margins. An official from the Electoral Department addressed the matter.
At the moment, as it stands, there are no recounts, no official recounts taking place. And from what we've learned from this office, in the instances where there would have been a recount, the candidates have conceded and said it's okay. So there's no need for a recount at this time.
Although the general elections are over and persons are celebrating the SLP's victory, an official statement declaring which party has won most seats can only be made after the necessary documentation is revised.
Usually all the ballot boxes are returned to the office of the elections officer, the chief elections officer, and then documentation like the return of the writ are processed, and then after that the pronouncement can be made as officially as to which party has the most seats.
St. Lucia now awaits an official declaration of victory to be made by the chief elections officer. For the Hot 7 Nightly News, I am Karim Nelson.
The leader of the National Green Party, NGP, has extended congratulations to the St. Lucia Labour Party on winning the 2021 general election. Andre De Carey says he's hoping that the new government will implement some of the initiatives put forward by the NGP to ensure the betterment of the country. He's also calling on the St. Lucia Labour Party to remember its slogan and always put it into practice, that of putting people first.
The 8 candidates of the National Greens Party, St. Lucia's third political party, which contested the 2021 general elections, were able to amass more than 300 votes. Leader of the party, Andre De Carey, captured the most votes from the Grosley constituency. De Carey has extended congratulations to the St. Lucia Labour Party and Philip J. Pierre upon emerging victorious in the 2021 polls, and all the others who found the courage to be part of the election process.
I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of my party to congratulate Mr. Philip J. Pierre and the members of the SLP, the successful members of the SLP, for a resounding victory. I believe the people spoke, and it was a rejection of the UWP policy and their behavior in government. I want to also congratulate the 2 independents, Mr. King, Mr. Frederick, well done. Ms. Melanie Freites, well done for a newcomer, an independent, to get all those votes. Well done, Mel. And I would also like to thank the people who have supported us in the last few months. We are a new party, and we gained a lot of ground, and I believe a lot of respect. And we would like to have a seat at the table.
During the campaigning period, the 3 parties spoke of various measures which should be implemented to take the country to a higher level. De Carey says now is the time to move forward, and he is hoping that the many promises that were made and initiatives outlined could come to fruition for a better St. Lucia.
I think we need to form a government of national unity and deal with what is coming ahead, this post-COVID world. I think we need to look at agriculture more seriously. We can't stand up on one leg alone. I think we need to look at manufacturing and agriculture. A tripod is one of the most stable geometric shapes, and we need those other 2 pillars to stand on. I hope that we are able to implement many of the policies that were outlined during the campaign, one of them being cannabis legalization, because this is one of the areas where we could provide thousands of jobs and make a lot of money, add value, have end product, and I believe we need this in the economy. So I thank you to all my members and everybody who participated in this really exciting election.
He says now is not the time to be divided along party lines, but rather a time to propel the country forward for self and the future generation. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Former Chief Engineer John Peters and former Energy and Sustainable Development Minister under an SLP administration, Dr. Jimmy Fletcher, were part of the esteemed panel for the Hot 7 TV election coverage. The 2 men bring years of experience within the public service. Given the trend of the past 4 election cycles where no government has been given 2 terms in office, the question was put to the members of the panel: what would you advise the government to concentrate on moving forward, and what are the missteps it needs to avoid? Dr. Jimmy Fletcher says the new government must be careful not to suffer the fate of governments since 2006.
I think first of all, the new government has to understand what the old government has left behind. You have to understand your landscape. You have to understand 5 years is a long time. And one of the things that Alan Chastanet sought to do was to accelerate a lot of things. Alan Chastanet didn't have the patience to let things take place at the normal pace. So he really accelerated a lot of things, put a lot of things in place, and had a lot of moving parts going. The new Prime Minister and his team have to understand what it is they're inheriting. What it is they're inheriting in terms of the public service. What it is they're inheriting, as John said, in terms of projects that are ongoing. What sort of discussions maybe have already been agreed to with external partners, and dotted lines have been signed already. So he has to understand that environment. And then he also has to look at what are the things that matter to St. Lucians most during this election campaign. There are certain things that really resonated with St. Lucians. The issue of corruption is one you cannot get away from. Whether it is true or not, there must be some effort made to deal with corruption. The fact that every 5 years we keep voting governments out, I think Philippe Pierre will have at the back of his mind that he needs a particular period of time for him to do the things that his government would like to do. And 5 years is not that period of time. So he needs to see how we can build on this mandate that he has been given to establish some level of permanence, but also addressing some of the anxieties that people have about certain things. Solutions may not understand exactly what it is they want from constitutional reform, but they know they want a reform of the constitution because they understand that there's certain things about our governance arrangements that are not working. So you cannot now kick that can down the road and say, yes, we'll appoint a committee or we'll do this. I think solutions have shown very clearly that they may not talk during the course of the 5 years, but they make up their mind what they want to do already. So it doesn't matter how much bluffing you do and what you do. When solutions have made up their mind that this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing.
Panelist John Peters says one of the approaches has to be to get the hospital out of the stadium in the shortest possible time.
And I would look at going back to the 2 wings that were abandoned and try simultaneously to weatherproof the existing structure. I don't think we have the funding to complete that together with the 2 existing wings. And my approach, which I would suggest, is that you finish in terms of the what I would call the bringing it into a watertight structure, what we famously call the box, and to focus the attention on the existing structures that are there and create a functional hospital.
Dr. Fletcher says refashioning the economy is a must as the fiscal position is grim.
We have an economy that contracted by over 20% last year. So the fiscal space available to the Prime Minister, the new Prime Minister, is already limited because he has a high debt to GDP that is pushing him into a corner. And he has an economy that really needs to be jump-started. So how does he do that and put it on a trajectory?
That was panelist and former Minister Dr. Jimmy Fletcher. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. When we return, the successful independent candidates in the 2021 general election.